So there was a kind of an interesting article. It was really a somebody talking about their forecast, their kind of strategic forecast for the future, and it was a pretty grim forecast actually. He was basing a lot of it on what he was perceiving as motivations for a lot of treasury sell-offs, like lots of sovereign United States Treasury bond sell-offs. Now this has been going on for a while and stuff like that, but he was talking about like the acceleration of it, and I've heard a number of people talk about the acceleration of that. It has many things that it can mean, but many things that could happen. But what he then got into is he's like, well, no, we know a big part of this, though, is that they are going, there's a plan with the way that the crypto bill was structured. That the crypto bill was structured in such a way that it would actually start being based heavily around the around treasury bonds. So you having these stable coins that the banks that issue them would be holding treasury bonds. I mean, just walk through that. I gotta post the link. I'll make sure to post the link. Because he was talking about, he goes, no, this is sort of like the old system, like the way old system, like the 1860s or 1890s. I think it was 1860s that he cited, maybe even 1830s. But he was talking about where that the banks, it was the Civil War. It was, I'm sorry, I believe it was 1868 is actually what he was citing. And he was citing when these banks fundamentally were, they fundamentally were holding American debt, and they were able to issue currency and it was based around the debt they were holding, the fundamentally taxpayer debt they were holding. So then he got into sort of the second aspect of this. Well, remember, the first time this happened, this was based around the Civil War and the debt and the money we needed for the Civil War. So it got into this whole idea of, oh yeah, well, one of the issues here is that where's the war? And so then he started getting into how America seems to be really itching to get into it with, be a part of the Ukraine and Russia thing. And he said what really has him most concerned, and everybody else he knows, is he said, after we've seen what happened with Iran, and we saw the strike on the facility, what does 50 days, Putin, mean? That's the thing. What does a 50-day limit mean? What does this deadline mean? So, yeah. And he's like, so what? And so the thing is, he was talking about, because he would have to be preparing his clientele for what he thinks is coming. And he's like, all the indicators he has are the kind of indicators that pop off when you're about to see a war. Like that all the different parties involved that would be based around this, how to fund the war, how to, basically invest, what companies you would invest in if you knew there was going to be warfare. What would you... So it's just one of these things that just has me in kind of a dark mood. Just low morale. So I'm doing something I think will make me feel quite a bit of good feelings and accomplishment feeling. I'll talk to you later about that one. But yeah, so Zelda, I made some videos and then I'm like, no, this isn't it. But this morning it hit me. I was like, wait, it was a twofer with Zelda, or I'm sorry, well, sort of twofer / threefer in this aspect, that not only is it not a trans man who's going to, a tranny playing a princess, so that they lost on that because everybody understands it's a contest in a game, everybody gets it, but also they kept it white. I'm wondering, I'm sure there's people who brought this up among all the cultural critics and stuff, Hypnotic and Yellow Flash and all them. But I just want to make sure to bring that up because, it just hit me suddenly that I started trying to walk through, like, what would I describe it as? Oh, yeah, and they kept it white. Good on them, Nintendo. So yeah, I'm just kind of amazed. Like, that is all, baby. Yeah, families doing things, eating at the barbecue tap house. That's sweet. See, we need families eating at restaurants. It's the only way we win. We need families eating at restaurants. That's how civil society comes back. That's how civil society heals. It's when people can go out and have a good meal and not worry about the various characters from Scooby-Doo's, panoply of villains or knockoff Batman villains, like trying to do weird shit to you, So I'm not liking. Okay, something about the Epstein thing is throwing me off because there seems to be something funny that it's like that you would have had to. There seems like something strange is going on that I can't. Like another shoe has to drop. There's more going on here than we understand. And it's like, then I started to think about it. I'm like, I haven't really looked enough into who and where are these people that we kind of think and know about. And then there's this part of it where it's the 50-day deadline. I can't get these two thoughts out of my mind. And then the last one was, and Obama and the treason and all of those. This is going to apply to generals. High-ranking people, the NSA, generals. I mean, this is a lot of people who are going to have to go up for treason. How are we going to fight Russia at the same time? And this is a real serious, I'm not kidding in this regard. Having to look into some of the most highly trained personnel we've ever had and say, we're going to probably have to kill you gentlemen for treason. And then try to at the same time conduct thermonuclear war. I mean, some kind of, and that everybody's going to have time to do this. Everyone's going to have plenty of staff to take care of all of this, and their elections, and, so there's this part of me, how does this keep happening? Okay, the foot powder in my freaking socks keeps venting out of this fucking boot, and it's crazy looking. Looks like I stepped in chalk or something. What the fucking hell? Alright, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so those are all three factors. I'm like, I don't know. Something seems weird about this. Like, how could all three of these things, like, yeah, I got to walk through that. I've got to walk through it at some point. Like, oh, that's fly. Coupe de Ville. So then, another thing that, so yeah, so one of the things with this Nintendo deal and Zelda and all that is then, very quickly everybody kind of learned, like, how this rumor even get out there? Oh, it was their agent. So then it brings up this idea of, like, who is in the industry thinking that this is the thing to cash in on? Or is it that in the industry they're now starting to cash in? A lot of people are basically, they're representing somebody who, just rises and then totally burns out. So, I mean, whoever the agency is does probably pretty darn well. They get, they get their money, they get their attention. But the show goes nowhere. The movie goes nowhere. Who's Rachel Ziegler's agency right now? I think we actually got told in one of the articles about it, but like that kind of thing. Like, it just says a lot about the way that entertainment itself is now starting to face this issue of, like, but nobody likes that kind of thing. Like, but nobody's into that. Like, why did you think this was going to be a hit? Why did you think it was going to be a hit record, though? It reminds me of that Sopranos episode where Christopher and the band, I think it's maybe a series of episodes, and he thinks he's going to be in the show business or something, or managing, he's looking for that hustle, going into management or something like that, or having a front business. And the whole thing of him and the old guy talking about, like, no, that's not a hit. And he goes, what do you mean? No, you just know a hit when you hear it. And so there's all these people in show business now that they have no sense of what a hit is whatsoever. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's really pretty amazing, actually. And then watch these people who are real fans of really good cinema, and they're talking about this or that movie that's come out, and it's like, that sounds like a real good movie, actually. Like that, but I never heard of it. So now, really good movies, nobody's heard of them. And it's, it's like and there was like, there was a couple of, like, really cool sounding high art movies that I never heard the titles of. I never heard anybody mention them. They seemed like the kind of subject matter and everything poignant during these, because one of them was actually, this is what I wanted to know if Hood was into it. About, like, it's this guy who, I guess the whole framing of the movie is he's already been locked up, he's out of lockup, and he's dealing with, like, his mom, and he's talking about life, or she's trying to sort out what's this and that with him, but he keeps looking back in time, and as he's looking further and further back in his life, it's turning out he was gay, and all of these awkward, strange moments that and then misinterpretations of things, relationships he had, but, like, in the hood. And that's what was so fascinating, because these moments where it would show him as, like, a boy where he meets his first, like, homie, but he's into homie and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, wow, okay, I feel you on that. That's dope. Like, you guys nailed it. That's good. That's good writing. That's good writing. And I was like, I never heard of this movie. And it was made within the last decade. You would think all black people would be talking about it. But no, you'd think the pro-blacks would even be talking. You'd think about the blue-pill black men would be talking about it. Maybe they were, and I didn't know because I didn't watch them. But I really was just like, and let me make this then, even for people who want to be offended who are a part of the alliance. Well, you guys didn't talk about this either. And you're probably like, oh, well, the community of the black queerness and I'm not from that community, so, bullshit. Trying your hardest to bullshit. Because there is no alliance, and so it was just, it's things like that now that I'm like, so even if somebody's written something that, like, it's like, bam, like, that's dope, now nobody would know how to even promote it. No one would even know how to promote the movie, because who do you go to? Who do you promote it to? Where do you promote it? That kind of thing. And so then the last thing, I want to make sure, for those of you that now, because now the numbers are starting to really come out about this, that, like, what this is going to cripple a generation, and we know it. We know it's going to really hold a generation back. That the student loans are going to get collected on no matter what, and the student loans being collected on are going to set people back from saving and investing and buying homes and all other kinds of business. And do I want to go up there? No, I want to go this way. As I said, a driver that struck me as a nutter for a second. So it's like, no, let's keep going. Excellent. All right, let's cross. So, so I was looking at some of the stuff that people were talking about, like, what will this mean financially for people who are about, say, in their 30s, because they were talking about the millennials and what they have saved, then Gen Z and what they poured into it, and how much education just kept rising in its cost. So it already has broken the back of the millennials. What's going to do to Gen Z? And there's all these Gen Xers who went back and got more education than they owe. And now there's all the layoffs going on, tremendous amounts of layoffs going on. And so there was just, I was sitting back and I was like, yeah, this, until there's that sort of now it's going to seem like magic. When there's the magic sort of triumvirate, or something, a Caribus of success, where one, you don't feel unsafe going out to ... Two, the cost of doing so is not that steep to go out to ... And then three is because now there's law enforcement and the rates, the borrowing rates have dropped. And then there was something I started to think about that I was like, but also it's, there's just simply too much wealth held up in now boomers that have to spend for pretty much their late years, and they just don't care that there's no young people. It doesn't bother them that there's no young people around. It doesn't matter to them that there's not amenities that young people can enjoy. It doesn't matter to them. Too many of them, not all, but too many of them. And it was just something I was thinking about. There's going to be a real tough road to hoe. because fundamentally, there's no real cultural incentive for the boomers to actually change anything about the places that they now dominate, which are most of the major cities, as far as the kind of most financially stable people in those cities. Why clean them up? They don't care. If they did, they would have cleaned them up. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, trans kids don't exist. It's science now.